Hey Pottery Plus, welcome back. This might be looking familiar to you if you've been following along, but I just wanted to, like I said, bring you along on the next step of what I'm doing on my planter project for my best friend, who I don't think I've mentioned this. Her name is also Kara. So yeah, she's Kara with a C, I'm Kara with a K. So the two Karas. Anyway, what I'm doing next is that layer of glaze that I talked about in the last video, where I'm gonna go over everything completely with my milk glass white, including the areas that already had the iron wash and the glaze over just those certain shapes that I had kind of isolated out and put those initial layers on. So the next step is, I wouldn't say it's super interesting to watch, but there were a couple things I wanted to mention that I just thought I could talk about while I'm brushing my coatings on. And friends, if you haven't seen me do this or heard me say this before, when I'm brushing, I was taught, and I've seen that this has usually worked out pretty well, is that you paint on 2 to 3 coatings, changing directions with each coating. So right now I'm going side to side, and when this is all nice and dry, I'll do my next coating going up and down. And then I'll just kind of see from there. If it seems thin, I'll add another coating. If it seems okay, I might stop. It's always good to kind of assess those things along the way. When I was in college, my professor would always say you want your glaze to be about the thickness of a dime, and when it's dry, you can kind of dig your nail in and see. But I don't know, different products and different applications always respond differently. So it's, there's just really no right way. I think practice is the best way to figure out what's the best application for the glaze that you're using. So this glaze is called milk glass white, I mentioned, and it goes on pink, which is very interesting, but I have worked with this glaze before and it does turn white. Glazes are funny like that. They can oftentimes look very different in their raw state than they do after firing. Well, they always do. I mean, they always look slightly different. Sometimes the color will have some indication when the glaze is in its raw form, but oftentimes you'll get a big transformation from before and after firing. So something that's kind of been on my mind with this project, you guys, is I'm working with a low fire clay, like a Cone 06 clay. And I started off using this clay with either for sculptural projects, like when I was in school and I was learning, or then like when I got into teaching, I would use it with like little kids. So for the longest time, I just sort of thought low fire clay was like, I don't know. I thought it was like, well, for kids. I mean, I can just leave it at that. I thought it was for kids. But I use it now in my own practice for projects like a planter like this one that are not going to be, like, it's just going to sit somewhere. And it's not going to get picked up and handled a lot. It's not going to be put in the dishwasher. Like, we don't quite need the strength that like a Cone 10 porcelain is going to have, or some higher fire clays. Because, as long as this item is treated somewhat gently when it is handled, it's just going to be sitting for the most part. So we don't have to worry about food safety. And don't need to worry too much about, it being resistant to breakage, because it's not going to be handled like a normal utilitarian piece, like a dish would be. And I like projects where you can get away with that, and I'll tell you why. And I never thought of this till I had my own kiln, but it's energy saving. It's energy saving to be able to fire your final firing, or like your glaze firing, to a lower temperature. Because if your kiln, I use an electric kiln. So I'm able to save electricity if I can have some products that I make that are low fire. That helps me keep the cost down a little bit. And like I said, you don't think of it until you're paying the bill. But, and it is a absolute luxury to have a kiln, but it's also expensive. So you want to kind of try and optimize it as best you can, All right, that finishes up about one coating. And it looks like I've come back around to where I've started, and it looks dry enough to start on a next coating. So I won't show you the whole thing because I know it's probably getting kind of boring, but that would just look like this. Oops. This brush is really long, friends. It's kind of about to knock the tripod over. So that would just, yeah, now I'm gonna do a coating going up and down, all the way around. And then, like I said, I'll assess from there and just see. I am gonna add some accent glazes over this. I know this is getting to be a bit much with all these different things, but you know what? I'm having fun with it. So yeah, that kind of wraps it up for what I wanted to show you guys today. I'll finish that off camera, but thank you for joining me in this next step. Let me know if you have any questions, and I so appreciate you being here today. So have a great rest of your day, and we'll see you hopefully very soon. Bye-bye, Pottery Plus.